Welcome back to a new series covering the differences between the Japanese and English versions of Megaman Anti-Warrior, or Rockman.EXE as the series is known in Japan. This is a series I have wanted to cover for a long time, as Megaman Anti-Warrior is a series I have great respect and nostalgia for, as one of the very first anime I ever saw. As a lifelong fan of the Megaman franchise, the Anti-Warrior, Battle Network, and EXE world is one I was really invested in at one point in my life, and still try to follow to some extent. In fact, if you're in the market for more Battle Network related material, I would highly recommend Naijon's and RPG Monger's great takes on the video games, as they cover an interesting array of material and do solid deep dives into the lore, mechanics, and especially the respective games. But talking about the anime, since there are no respective arc breakdowns, I've decided to make my own. This video will cover what I call the World 3 arc, which spans the first 9 episodes. I will be covering the original series, and if these videos perform well, I will definitely be covering Megaman Access as well. Rockman.EXE broadcast in Japan from March 2002 to March 2003, and in North America as Megaman Anti-Warrior from May 2003 until December 2004. Dubbed by Viz Media and broadcast on Kids WB in North America, the series was rife with changes, but certainly not to the extent that a typical 4Kids production would incur. With that, let's get started by looking at a few general changes. The first change is that the openings and ending credits are different. The Japanese version uses Kaze wo Tsukinukete, which roughly translates to Pierce Through the Wind, as its opening. It's a fun theme that finds its way into Megaman Network transmission as well. The US version uses a very cool techno-synth bop that repeats the title song a few times. It's dumb in a fun, cheesy way. The Japanese ending credits is called Piece of Peace, and the English version uses an alternate rendition of its opening. The second change is the removal of the next episode previews. This was common for anime broadcast in the 90s and aughts, and pretty standard stuff for a licensed kids anime. The third change is the removal of the eye catcher. The Japanese version uses a fun jingle coming in and out. This is all gone in the dub. The fourth change is the removal of the episode title. It's usually a standard screen with text, so not too much was lost here. The fifth change is that the dub tends to add a voice whenever a NetNavi jacks in or out of cyberspace. The voice did not exist in the original Japanese version. The sixth change is the score being changed, as if this would come as a surprise. The Japanese version had a fun OST that was definitely varied in its presentation. The dub uses techno and electro pop for most of its broadcasts, to really home in on the futuristic and internet aspect of the series. The seventh consistent change is that Higsby's shop has been localized in every shot it's in. I'll point out if there's an inconsistency, but know that generally it's always localized into the exact same thing. And the last major change is that swords are blurred every time they are on screen. On a rare occasion, the sword on the battle chip itself won't be blurred, but if a character is using one, expect it to be censored, barring any inconsistencies. There are also the general name changes that I'll list here. Overall, the dub uses localized names provided by Capcom themselves, and doesn't really deviate from that much, with minimal exceptions that I'll talk about later. One thing to note, with repeated edits, and especially text changes, I'll just keep the repetitive observations as background footage when I'm giving my final thoughts. That way there's no endless mentioning of text changes like in the Sonic X videos and Shaman King stuff. And the final aside is that Lan actually has 2 voice actors in this series. Alex Dodek voiced Lan in the first series, before Brad Swale took over in the later episodes. But since the series was aired out of order, when the episodes are lined up in the original Japanese broadcast order, as the DVDs did, you get a weird situation where Lan is voiced by Alex in one episode and then Brad Swale in another. This is how each Lan sounds.
That was great! You were great, Megaman! Forget what I said before about you being too small.
Oh, that's some style. Since when are you into fashion? Are you hiding something under there?
In these first 9 episodes, Brad Swale voices Lan in episodes 6 and 8. It's Alex Dodek in all the others. And with that, let's get looking at the first 9 episodes. Episode 1 has been retitled From Plug-in Rockman to Jack-in Megaman. The first change is that the dub adds a short promo to the series in the first episode. This is largely to set up what the series will be about. A flash has been added to Gutsman hitting Lan's pre-Megaman NetNavi to obscure the point of impact. The letter Lan receives from his father has the text on it localized in every shot it appears in, from Japanese to English and some scribbles. The grill text from the poster behind Lan is removed in every shot it's in, except for one later in the same episode. When the PET begins rebooting, the Rockman text and administrator name text is removed. In fact, the PET text behind Megaman is removed in every shot it's in this episode. This will be something that becomes less frequent and more random later on in the dub. The shot of the PET booting up is cut out. Megaman shooting the Meteors removes footage of Megaman showing his Mega Buster aimed at the audience, and reuses footage from a different episode to avoid showing Megaman shooting on screen. This is a change that would permeate throughout the early episodes, but would get more relaxed as time went on. Meilu playing the piano uses a different instrumentation in this scene. Megaman's flurry of revenge punches to Gutsman is significantly shorter in the English version. As Mr. Match watches Megaman shoot a virus, the dub replaces the shot of Megaman aiming his Mega Buster and the text on Land's PET when Megaman has taken damage. Torchman's digitized arm gets a little blurred out after Megaman cuts it off. Episode 2 is called Subway Scramble in both versions. The dub once again adds a fun promo to the start of the episode, likely to recap viewers and tune them into what the show will be like. During Lan and Meilu's adventure, a tea bag is added to the table in some shots. Later on, in the train, the kilometers per hour text is removed once chaos begins. Megaman shooting some virus and a pan to reveal him pointing his blaster loses some shots. 2 centimeters is changed to 2 inches when Lan saves the train from crashing. And lastly, the dub removes a final shot of Dex yelling when the Robo-Dog bites his leg. Episode 3 has been retitled from Signal Panic to Traffic Signal Chaos. The dub continues to include a quick recap of the series, and now the Japanese version includes one too. They use different footage and are presented in different ways. The Japanese versions is also nearly 2 minutes long, while the dubs continues to hover in the 46-second range. Miss Mari's introduction text has been localized into Welcome Yai on the board in every shot it appears in. Additionally, Gabcom has been localized as Ayano Tech. This is the name of the company that Yai's father works at, although y'all have to admit, Gabcom is a really fun tongue-in-cheek name. The bottle that Yai is served strawberry lemonade in is recolored to pink. Considering that the contents of said bottle are also pink, this is a fair change. Megaman jacking into cyberspace has 2 recycled animations added, which are taken from later in the episode. Megaman shooting at Wacko Man and aiming his blaster at the screen is cut out. Traffic signals have been turned from a nice teal to a hard, radioactive Hulk green. Glide telling the audience that Yai never makes the same mistake twice when she gets a new limo with a restroom in it is cut out at the very end of the episode. Episode 4 is called Count to 3 in both versions. The dub continues to add the 45-second summary of the series. The generic villain aiming his blaster at the screen is removed at the very beginning of the episode. As a perfect example of the lengths the dub will go to not show Megaman aiming his blaster on screen, Megaman doing said deed uses a different shot here. Numberman using his exploding dice against Glide a second time is cut out. Megaman shooting at the screen while covering roll has a scene swap a few more times in this episode. It definitely reaches redundancy points. The final password to unlock Numberman's barrier, Hana665, is actually shown on Roll's visor as she uploads the information in the original Japanese version. Episode 5 has been retitled from Challenge of the Rampaging Fish to Robotic Fish Gone Wild. Gutsman getting mini-bombed in the crotch and running around is removed. Similarly, Dex getting hit in the crotch with a baseball shortly after this is also cut out. The video of Megaman that World 3 watches is slightly longer in the original version, with the dub cutting out the first few shots. Mesa's fish snack facts have a localized graphic in the dub. Megaman shooting at the jellyfish virus is much longer in the original version, as the dub trims a few seconds. Episode 6 has been retitled from Sub-Zero Bra to Ice Ice Baby. Tori's father's blisters have been recolored to look less intense and bloody in the dub. This happens a few times. Wacko Man's wound inflicted by Megaman's Electro Sword has been censored as to not show the point of impact. Episode 7 has been retitled from Midnight Duel to Game Off. The JJN text is removed from the news broadcast as Sal passes by. When Count Zap pulls his heist, the original version shows him breaking the ceiling glass as he pulls out. The dub cuts this out. The English version localizes the sign that Higsby holds up, denoting that the game he is selling has sold out. 4 kids, eat your heart out. Yai's father's drink is changed from red to pink, which, like Yai, would mean that the Amanos really like drinking strawberry lemonade from stem glasses. Additionally, the dub has different animation in one of the scenes. This might be similar to the Metarex saga in Sonic X, wherein the dub received the finished animation, and this is broadcast footage of Rockman.EXE. Megaman impaling Elecman with the sword removes a few seconds, and when Elecman grabs the sword, the dub keeps the point of impact blurred. This happens twice, and both times the impalement is blurred out. Episode 8 has been retitled from Revenge Fireman to Hot Tempers. Mr. Match's DVD has been localized into English. As Torchman roams through cyberspace, there are many establishing shot buildings that remove some text or localize it into English. It's a bit odd that some English text is gone, while Japanese text is left alone, but so it goes. This can sometimes happen in the same scene. The pan-up from Meilu's legs are removed, which, considering that she is 10 years old, Japan, god damn, is always a good thing. Meilu deleting Lan's homework has text edits and localization changes, as some English and Japanese text is removed, and some other Japanese text is just translated. As the bathhouse water gets too hot to handle, towels are added to the old man when they overheat. Higalea text is removed from inside Higsby's shop in every shot it is in. Also, this isn't an edit yet, but make a mental note of the name of this arcade shop. It's Game Soul. There's no changes yet, but keep this in mind for future episodes. Episode 9 has been retitled from Yoga, Soldier of Terror to The Yoga Warrior. Count Zap getting zapped by Dr. Wily's staff is removed, as is his smoking remains afterwards. In this episode, Game Soul is localized as arcade. Told ya there would be some inconsistencies down the road. Yahoot's Yoga Flyer is localized into English, and the English version adds a new graphic in every shot that it is in. The final change is a bit weird, because it has another DVD correction on the animation. First, the restaurant text is slightly different behind the versions, and second is that the dub actually has updated footage of Lan looking around to where he needs to go, versus the Japanese version where he just sort of goes. And that covers all the changes in the first 9 episodes. Overall, your changes here aren't at 4Kids level of desmadre, but they are substantial. Considering that a lot of the text in any language is left as is, this is already leagues ahead of a typical 4Kids production. The major consistent changes here do end at text localizations and the sword blurrings, which I feel never become a big problem. With that, tune in next time when I cover the N1 Grand Prix Part 1.